We spend our whole lives chasing success, right? Trying to avoid failure at all costs. But what if I told you that's only half the story? In this explainer, we're going to dig into a really powerful, kind of counterintuitive idea that our greatest wisdom, well, it doesn't come from our wins, but from our toughest challenges. So let me just start by asking you a question that might sound a little crazy. Is a life of nonstop success actually dangerous? Think about it. We try so hard to build a life with no bumps in the road, but what if, in doing that, we're actually robbing ourselves of the very experiences that make us strong? This slide really gets to the heart of it. On the one hand, yeah, success promises all the good stuff: security, status, comfort. I mean, who doesn't want that? But look at the other side of the coin. That security can actually make you fragile. That status, it can lead to some really superficial connections. And that comfort, well, it can just lead to stagnation. And that's the paradox we're diving into. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about what happens inside of us when we face a real challenge. This is all about forging your inner strength, about building up that internal toolkit you need to handle pretty much any storm that life throws at you. The best way to think about it is like this. You can't build muscle without resistance, right? You gotta lift something heavy. Well, our minds are exactly the same. Adversity, that's the weight that builds our mental and emotional muscle. A life that's too easy is kind of like never going to the gym. Sure, you're comfortable, but you're not getting any stronger. And here's exactly how that muscle gets built. It's actually a pretty clear four-step process. First, you hit a setback. That forces you, whether you like it or not, to develop a new skill or a new way of looking at things. Then, you use that new skill to get past the challenge. And finally, boom, that mental muscle is built. You are fundamentally stronger for the next go-around. Now, this process also builds another crucial tool: resourcefulness. See, when everything's easy and you have all you need, you never really have to improvise. But when times are tough or you don't have all the resources, you're forced to get creative. You have to find clever, scrappy ways to solve problems. In a way, hardship is like the ultimate boot camp for innovation. So, we've talked about building that inner strength. But tough times also have this huge impact on our external lives. They help us figure out what truly matters, acting like this incredibly powerful and, yeah, sometimes painful filter for our lives. Just take a look at this list. Does any of it feel familiar? Before a big crisis hits, our lives can get filled with so much, well, noise. We're chasing status, worrying about likes online, getting buried under tiny, trivial tasks. We're keeping busy, for sure, but are we focused on what's actually important? And then a crisis happens, and all of a sudden, all that noise just vanishes. What's left behind is the signal, and it almost always boils down to these two things: your health and the people you love. Adversity has this incredible way of just burning away all the unimportant stuff and showing you what's essential. And speaking of relationships, this is probably one of the most vital lessons that hardship teaches us. It is the ultimate loyalty test. I mean, it's easy to be surrounded by people when everything's going great, but when things go wrong, that's when you really find out who's in your corner. This slide just lays it out so perfectly. Success relationships are often about your status, about what you have. But adversity relationships, those are about your character, about who you are. One is often temporary, kind of conditional. The other, it's deeply loyal. It's the real deal. This brings us to our final big idea, and it might just be the most profound one of all: the gift of humility. This is all about how hardship connects us not just more deeply to ourselves, but to everybody else too. Think about it. A long winning streak feels amazing, but it can also be intoxicating. It can make you feel kind of invincible, like you're separate from everyone else. But failure, oh, failure grounds you. It's this powerful reality check that reminds you you're human, you're vulnerable, just like the rest of us. It brings you right back down to earth. And from that humility, something really beautiful grows: empathy. It's one thing to feel pity for someone from way up on your high horse, but true empathy, the ability to genuinely feel and understand what someone else is going through, that's often born from our own experiences with pain. Adversity doesn't just make you stronger, it can make you so much kinder. So as we start to wrap this up, the big takeaway here is really a challenge for all of us to reframe how we look at the tough times in our lives. They aren't just obstacles we need to avoid, they are, in fact, our greatest teachers. And in the end, it really all comes down to this simple truth: success can teach you a lot about the world, sure. But as the slide says, hard times teach us what success never can. They teach you about who you are, what real loyalty looks like, and about your deep connection to other people. So I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. The next time you're facing a struggle, whether it's big or small, instead of just asking, "How do I get out of this?" maybe try asking yourself a different question. What is this here to teach me? Because that, right there, is where the real wisdom is found. Thanks for joining me.